Ooh.
I just pressed it.
Never mind. Fellas.
Yo.
DeMarcus Cousins, one of the best bigs in the game. Who I really consider the D Rose a big man, honestly. I really do. I really do consider Boogie the D Rose a big man because, like, he was good for so long. And actually, no. He not the D
Honestly,
Rose,
I wouldn't even give him D Rose.
Really? What would you give him?
I was going to say Jennings, that's too low because Boogie was a problem. It's somewhere in between those two, though. Because D Rose had a little more success, accolade-wise and success-wise.
Hey, hold on. Could we do a Would You Rather with DeMarcus Cousins to get it correct?
We could, because I think, are we talking like team
should
player?
do a bunch of them. Yeah,
we could, because are we talking team player or are we talking about in a vacuum?
I mean, I'll say it like this. If you're starting off a team and you got to draft one of these players and you know what their career is going to be, you know who they are and what they're going to turn into.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
We go. So you know what? We were gonna start with Chris Paul, but instead we're gonna start with DeMarcus Cousins. And you know what? I don't know why. This is a weird, very, very weird fact about me. I love the power forward position a lot. I don't know why. I know
Best
a lot
position
about
in
power
basketball,
forward.
man.
I know a lot about power forwards for whatever reason, and we're gonna go with 5 power forwards that these guys play.
Boogie was a center though, right?
Was he? I thought he did
DeMarcus
both.
Cousins was a center. No, he was a center.
He was center. He played the 4 when he played with bigger dudes, but he preferred the 4.
Say less. We gonna do center instead. Then we gonna do center instead. Now that's tougher. That's tougher to come up with 5
Yeah,
centers
that's tougher.
That it's tougher to come up with 5 centers that are in his stratosphere, but like not clearly above him. That's
Right.
gonna be a little bit tougher. But you know what? Let's do it. Again, we talking whole career right here. We not just talking, you know what I mean? Not just talking again in a vacuum of like, hey, this is for one game. This is all you got. This is all that matters. We gonna go 5 centers. That's spicy.
That's
spicy
tough.
right there. Hold on. I'm coming up with the centers list right now. And I got 2 so far. Let me see. Throw out some centers that y'all think are in his atmosphere, but not well above.
We going all time?
All time.
I might be overrating it a little bit, but I would have a center like Alonzo Mourning in the same tier as Boogie.
You think you would be overrating Alonzo?
I think I'll be overrating, but I thought y'all would think I was overrating Boogie.
Oh, okay. I was about to say. I think that's a very clear. Okay.
I would say Boogie is like in the same bracket as. Nah, because that's a reach too.
That's tough.
I was gonna say he like a step behind. What's big fella name? I just lost his name.
Because Boogie is so much more skilled than so many other bigs, but
yeah. So
his
like
career wasn't it?
We know he a lot better than Roy Hibbert, right? He's a light years ahead.
Hey, you know
Roy
what's
Hibbert.
crazy? Roy Hibbert also came to my mind, but I'm like, come on now, Kenny.
That's disrespectful. That's
what I said. I said that's crazy. That's crazy.
That's what I was about to say. I was about to say he's like a tier above Roy Hibbert because Roy Hibbert at his prime, low key, was very skilled too. But
his prime was
like,
2 years.
Exactly, but I'm just saying, at his prime, he wasn't a bad center. Like if
You know
said
what?
Roy Hibbert was your starting center.
We're gonna do 3 guys. We're gonna do 3 because I can't.
I will tell y'all though, Roy Hibbert. You know, you got those players. Well, we have a podcast platform that I hope grows somewhere someday. So don't hold this against me. But you know, though, you got those certain players that you just hate.
Oh, absolutely.
Roy Hibbert was one of them because the Lakers, as a diehard Kobe fan, the Lakers gave this man 30 M's.
Dog,
he was out there
Lakers
averaging
Roy Hibbert
1
was
rebound.
Lakers Roy Hibbert was hilarious, bro.
This man 7'2", averaged 1 rebound.
Hey, shout out to the white dude on TikTok that be like, just for that terrible take, I'm sentencing you to 5 minutes of Roy Hibbert's highlight. He's hilarious, bro. He is absolutely hilarious. All right, so these are the 3. These are the 3 I got, and you know we gonna talk about it. Dwight, Zydrunas Ilgauskas, Alonzo Mourning. Those 3.
Ooh.
Would you rather for Boogie? Would you rather Dwight Howard? Would you rather? Talk to me.
Dwight.
Hey, I'm going Dwight.
I think Dwight and it's not close.
Honestly,
Zadrunas-
I think people underrate him. I think Dwight is close to being like a top 5, top 10 center all time, and he don't get the credit.
Oh,
for it.
I think he's definitely top 10.
He's easily top 10 to me.
I think Dwight is like a less offensive David Robinson. Like I'll be honest.
But more athletic.
And
More
this
athletic,
this is why it's so hard to get comparisons for Boogie, because like he's not in that tier. He is
Right.
not there. He's
Nah.
there. You can't put him there. But all right,
You know who come to mind? Oh, go ahead. Go. We can do your list.
Oh,
first.
go ahead. Who come to mind?
He in the same tier as like a Gasol brother. If we be honest. He in the same tier as like one of the Gasol brothers.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
I say Powell. I don't know about Mark. I don't know.
Here's my
I
thing
don't
with a
know.
player like Powell. Boogie is clearly more skilled than Powell. But if you're starting a team right now, I think you would much
gotta
rather
start
take
a team.
Powell.
You got to start a team. So let me ask you this. Powell, which one? And again, this is you starting the team, starting the franchise. So Ziff, you would take Powell. Who you got, Chris? Who you got?
I'm gonna go Boogie.
I gotta go Boogie.
I'm
and let me
not
tell you
mad
this.
at that.
Let me tell you this. I
gotta
think
go
the
Boogie.
difference for me personally, when I think about these players, like when I look at them, I try to like honestly say, all right, objectively, if like regardless of what actually happened with your career, how different would it have turned out if you would have just ended up in a slightly better or slightly worse situation than what you were?
Right.
There was no worse situation than what DeMarcus Cousins went into. Like you could not create something where you had one of the greatest rookies of all time. And this is not an exaggeration. Statistically, Tyreek Evans was one of the greatest rookies of all time. We have not seen that 5 times in our lifetime. Anybody do what? Really, I don't think we've seen it 3 times in our lifetime. What Tyreek Evans did, we had not seen that to that point. So, and then all of a sudden he gets addicted to cocaine. Like what? What?
I'm not gonna hold you. It was a couple of those Sacramento teams with Boogie and Tyreek, and I was like, these boys gonna be a problem.
You get Rudy Gay, and like you're like, oh my God, we got Rudy, like he's gonna be so great for us. And then all of a sudden, the entire team around y'all like falls apart all at once.
Who was
Like,
on that team though? Who was on that team? Tyreek first year. It was Boogie wasn't there. Tyreek was that was a baller too. I can't think of the name.
They had Kevin Martin over there.
Kevin Martin was there, but he wasn't all that. He wasn't all that yet.
Kevin Martin wasn't a bucket.
Kevin Martin.
was a
Kevin
bucket.
Martin is
He
a
was a
good
bucket.
throwback. That's a good throwback, boy.
Kevin
he
Martin was a
bucket, but-
bucket.
He's
He one of
below-
the players on 2K that you always get.
Oh yeah. He's
Oh,
a- he's a
yeah.
2K guy for sure.
He had about
He's-
that 86 tray ball with an easy form, boy.
I'll
That
tell,
corner.
I'll tell you what, he's below the hall of very good, but he's like one of those guys that like when people talk about him, you do the nod like, oh yeah, he was good. He
Bro,
was
I
good.
got
He
a
was really
solid
good.
list of the hall of below very good players.
I mean, everybody does. I feel like if you don't
My
got like, a
wings,
good-
bro, I got Kerry Kittles, Kevin Martin, and Shane Battier.
You know, I'm gonna just say this.
I would say
I don't-
Shane very good, low key.
You put him in the hall of very good?
I wouldn't put Shane in the Hall of Very Good. I wouldn't put him in the Hall of Very Good.
No.
He's
That's-
not great, but he's very good. He's very good.
He's a all ballot first team below hall
know-
of very good player.
You know who I think would be first ballot below Hall of Very Good? Corey Maggette. That's a guy that
Hey, Corey McGatty.
he was below very good, but he did have some moments.
I'm putting
You
Q
know,
Rich in there too.
Yeah, I get it.
He's still playing, but Terrence Ross, another one that's like right below very good. Terrence Ross.
I don't know if I want to put Terrence Ross in that tier.
Look, from a skill set, yes, but like decision making and just I don't
A
think I
whole
can put
body
Terrence
of work?
Ross. Yeah, he not in Kevin Martin, Corey
Bro,
McGatty,
so
right?
wait,
He
wait.
can get
So
30
let-
like that though.
So let me. Oh yeah, well, but
can.
that's like the Brandon Jennings tier of like if
Yeah.
he's on the court, could he go off for 30? Absolutely.
That's the Brandon
Absolutely.
Jennings tier of unserious bucket. You
Exactly.
got Brandon
Unserious
Jennings, you got
bucket.
Terrence
Unserious.
Ross, you got Mo Williams.
Oh, Mo Williams is definitely on that list. Mo Williams is 100%.
But Williams
on
give
that
you
list,
50
boy.
or 2.
And that's just no in
No
between.
in
J.R.
between.
Smith.
Yeah.
J.R. Smith, another one of them, boy. All right, so back to Dwight. Zadrunas Ilgauskas. Which one? I mean, not Dwight. Boogie. Zadrunas Ilgauskas.
I'm going with Boogie.
I'm going to go Boogie, and it's not close. I don't think it's all that close between him and Z.
Look, I think that if Big Z played in a modern NBA, he would be elite. Because
I
he
mean-
got I think he had a skill set that was ahead of his time.
He'd be like Vucevic, but like a better defender and rebounder. Like that's maybe not the same
Yeah.
3-point shooter. Maybe not the same 3-point shooter, but I think he'd be Vooch just with better defending and rebounding. I think,
Yeah.
maybe not even a better rebounder, just a better defender.
I think I'll put Vooch in the hall of below very good.
I don't know. I think Vooch would be in the Hall of Very Good because he made
think
those
so?
Magic. He made those Magic
True.
teams look
That's very
respectable.
true. Yeah, he
He
carried
made an
them.
all-star on a 10-win team almost. Like they
That's
raised
true.
10 wins at the all-star break, bro.
Do you know what type of nasty work that is to pull up to the All-Star game? Yeah, boys, we got 9 wins. Yes, living the dream, baby, living the dream. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. All right, so let me ask you this: Boogie, Alonzo Mourning, who you starting the team with?
I'm going Boogie.
I'm gonna say this for me, it truly depends on the era because if we
Right.
throwing it back, give me Alonzo. If we throwing it back to where you get away with a little more, and you
I
know,
don't think we
you
should
deal-
look at
You know what? In
But if
that
we
case,
talking
if we
about
going
right now-
back, I'm looking at Boogie. Still.
If we talk right now, oh, I gotta take Boogie. What?
Bro,
Really?
think about it in the 90s. Think of the kind of defense they played. Think of
And
like
you know what? He wouldn't get ejected as much. He would not get ejected.
exactly. And on top of that, wasn't no big man back then had the skill set that Boogie had.
That's fair, except for maybe. Well, he wasn't a 5.
Well, I was about to say
So-
Hakeem.
Well, Sabonis pops had a skill set like
Yeah,
Boogie.
but he
Sabonis
came in the
Pop-
league. He was 80.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Very unfortunate for Big Sabo. But anywho, all right. Well, we got to get into what we actually came here to talk about,
Right.
Because Boogie dropped one of a take that my two co-hosts feel like is a legitimate take that I feel like is one of the worst moments of player hating. It's a moment of player hating that's up there with when everybody was lusting after Jonathan Majors and people start posting his white baby mama. This level of player hating. This level of player hating, to me, it deserves to be right up there in terms of Buck Nasty and them, in terms of greatest player hater of the year. But I digress. We're going to talk Chris Paul, would you rather? We're going to talk NFL playoffs, who's in, who's out. And we're going to talk fact of the week and act of the week. That sound like a good show to y'all?
Sound good to me.
Great show.
All right, well, fellas, let's get into it. But before we do, let's get into these intros. What's up, y'all? Have a seat. It's your favorite hour of the week with the Facts Over Acts crew. We got the master of the mix and master, Josh Guyton, in the building.
That is I.
We got the money man, the man of the plan, Chris Allen, in the building.
Right here.
And then you got the little old MC, that's me, King Gibbs. Now, folks, we going to start off because, again, DeMarcus Cousins said that Chris Paul is not a top 5 point guard of all time. And so we're going to talk about the 5 guys that he had in front of him and go, would you rather, for each one of them in order here. Magic Johnson, CP3. Who would you rather have?
Magic. Easily.
Yeah, I agree. Magic by mine.
Regardless
Magic
of era.
You know, oh, yes, 100%. I mean, Magic is, the man is like a less athletic LeBron. Like, you're not really going to get too much question there. Steph, CP3. Talk to me.
Steph, easily.
I agree. Steph clears.
about-
We've
lot
seen
years.
it happen. We saw the would you rather play out in real time.
That man made him hit the hands on your knees, crisscross on the court. That's, nasty work. Just
He
very
had Chris
nasty
Paul
work.
dancing to that "Call Me Maybe" TikTok song.
Not that. You hate that. I hate that for Chris. I
It
hate
was
that
getting
for him.
sturdy.
Now here's. Don't cross me over to where I'm getting started. Don't do that. Now here's where it gets interesting for me that a lot of folks may not agree with. John Stockton. CP3,
Okay,
who would
so-
you rather have? Again, this is starting a franchise.
Yep.
You got to pick one of these two guys.
Starting a franchise. Okay, so here's my thing. Any other day, I would say Chris Paul. However, the testament of people that they played with means a lot to me when it comes to ranking NBA players, which is why I might have some people higher than most fans do. I've never heard any basketball player say they have a lack of respect for John Stockton's game. Of course, I see this scrawny white dude. I think his assist stats are overinflated. I think a lot of his stats are overinflated. I think if he played in modern day basketball, he would be getting cooked. But every player, including elite point guards that he's ever played against, was like, yo, John Stockton was really him. So I'm going Stockton.
Chris, who you got, man?
I'm gonna go Stockton, right? Think about this. Let me paint a picture for y'all. This is a tough one, all right? Stockton played with a guy named Karl Malone, right? Look where Karl Malone is on the all-time points list, right? You think he get that without Stockton? Look at that impact Stockton had on another person's career, right?
I don't think he gets that high, but I think he gets close. I think he gets close.
Nah. Stockton.
I think he
he's a
shaved
big
about
part of that.
5,000 points off. He'll still get a bucket, but
I mean,
Karl
even if you
Malone's a
say-
bucket steal, but I say you save almost 7 off.
Bruh, all right, wait a minute. If you shave 5K off his point total, I believe he would still be in the top 20. Like, what?
yeah.
So, like, that's...
He wouldn't be top 5.
But that, what... Bro, we're talking about a player that's top 3 in points all time, that even if you shaved off 5, he would still be right there. Actually, no. If you shaved off 5, he would still be ahead of Jordan, bro.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. He'd be ahead of Dirk. He would be behind Jordan, literally a smidge behind Jordan, ahead of Dirk.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I would say 7. You shave 7 off without Stockton.
If you
Because
shave
Stockton
7
also
off,
the steals leader too, so you know a lot of fast breaks Karl Malone got because of that.
if you shave 7 off, he drops in front of Shaq. Again, I'm not sure how much of that we can truly attribute to. Again, there were a lot of assists that were like, oh, look, we drew up a play for him to post up. Here you go. Figure
And they
it out.
counted it as assists. Yeah.
And they counted it as an assist. But I'm going to tell you this. I'll tell you this. I still have Stockton, but it's close. I think it's closer than many people make it out to be. I think it's very close. But I'll take Stockton. Now, Isaiah Thomas or CP3.
Zeke.
Who you got?
Zeke. You see the
I got-
sweatshirt.
I got Zeke, and it's not close. I got Zeke. And
Yeah, it's not even.
That one is, that one is
Another
not close.
conversation.
Now, here's where it becomes blasphemous. Here's where I may have to boot one of y'all up out the chat. Here's where I may have to do it. And you know what? And I'm going to say this because I'm pretty sure we can keep our clean rating even if I say it. Damn it, I'm not afraid to do it. I'm not afraid to do it. So don't y'all dare start with no blasphemy. Steve Nash. Who you got?
I'm going with Steve.
Explain yourself.
Here's why I'm going with Steve.
As to why you're taking Steven John Nash over CP3.
So what? Even though I think MVPs are kind of a BS award because of the media votes on it, he still has 2 MVPs over Chris Paul's none. You have to take those MVPs into account. But here's the reason, because the question is, we're starting a franchise. Who are we taking? And here is the reason why I'm taking Steve Nash. I think we can both agree. I mean, we can all agree that it's not anybody whose career Chris Paul like shot through the roof as your point guard.
What?
Are you thinking of DeAndre Jordan?
What?
I'm serious.
That is the worst argument that you could
I'm
ever
being serious. I'm being very serious right now.
make. Whose career did he shoot through the roof?
Yes.
Blake Griffin.
I think Blake Griffin get a lot of that same productivity.
I think
he
Blake Griffin-
proved it on the
that's one thing I
Pistons. He
wouldn't agree
proved
with
it on
you.
the Pistons.
That's
His bag was infinitely deeper. Infinitely. Not like, and I'm not even, and y'all know me, I'm not a bag guy. I'm not like,
Right.
I don't mean like a bag in terms of his moves and all that. I mean his ability to execute offense efficiently.
Okay.
Was literally light years ahead of what he came in as a rookie. He developed a 3-ball. He had court vision like we didn't see with him as a rookie.
But
what are we doing here?
You can make the argument since Chris Paul was the primary ball handler, he never had an opportunity to show that skill set off. That's the first time he was the man.
He never had the ability to show off the fact that he could make threes.
He wasn't
What?
shooting them. It was a different NBA. He
My
came
argument
in
a little
pre-Steph Curry, and he was shooting those threes post-Steph Curry. That's 2 different NBAs.
I can't believe this, y'all. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. You know what? I'm gonna let y'all finish. I'm gonna let you finish.
And here's
Chris-
another point that I made.
Josh, go ahead.
When
Go
Chris Paul, when Steve Nash was on the floor, I was in full belief that he had teams around him, or he could lead them to some kind of success. We saw that Phoenix team take the Lakers to 7. And I think if they go to the finals, they win. I've never been in a position with a Chris Paul playoff team where I'm like, Oh, they about to get it done. Never.
Okay. No, because I'm gonna let you finish. I'm gonna let you get your points off. Because I'm finna come in here and ether. And Chris, I hope that you don't end up on the side of this that gets ethered too. Go ahead, Chris. Who you got? CP3 or Steve Nash?
I'm gonna keep it being. It's closer than people think. Right?
Yep.
But see, it's one thing on Chris Paul resume that I just can't let go. Right? I can't let go.
Okay.
I can't let go. You let Luka come to your house in Game 7 and disrespect you like that. You put Steve Nash on that Suns team, he don't get disrespected like that. In a Game 7 at the crib, with a one player literally single-handedly dominated you and held your team under his spell, where y'all was scared to score the basketball, where y'all ended the half with 27 points.
I think if you put Steve Nash at point, DeAndre Ayton that man.
Ain't not one team that Steve Nash is on would end the half in a Game 7 with 27 points. Not one team with Steve Nash, they would struggle to get a basket. That's why I'm going to go Steve Nash, all right? I'm going to go Steve Nash. It's closer than people think. Chris Paul was him when he was with New Orleans, but I got to go Nash. Overall career, overall impact on team, Chris Paul had that, but he was an underachiever. He's known as an underachiever. And, me and Guyton are Chris Paul haters, but we respect him. But he was an underachiever in every state. Nash was too, but Nash also, every offense Nash was a part of is top 25 in efficiency rating and offensive PER. He's always going to be a top. His team always going to be top 5 in the league when he's on the floor.
I'm gonna bring in two things that I want y'all to consider and sit in and live in for a second. Two things. Number one, Jeremy Lin. Do y'all remember Linsanity?
Yeah.
Y'all remember that?
Okay. What that got?
How did Linsanity happen? What was that? What was that moment? What was that all about, guys? Come on, talk to me. What was it about?
I think that Linsanity thing was a lack of scouting.
It was a lack of scouting. But
Teams ain't know how to play him. He was some new dude.
Okay, he was some new dude. I have a slightly different take there.
Okay.
You see, who was his head coach at the time?
D'Antoni, right?
It was Mike D'Antoni. Oh, you sure?
Yeah.
You sure? Okay, so it was Mike D'Antoni. So we can all establish here. Mike D'Antoni was the coach of a guy who all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this undrafted nobody becomes a media sensation. And we know a lot of it was because he was in New York. Because if he does that same thing in Sacramento, nobody cares, right? If he does that same thing in Milwaukee, nobody cares. If he does the same thing in Memphis, the Linsanity goes on for like a day and a half, maybe.
Okay.
But we can all agree that the way that D'Antoni's teams and systems ran offenses inflated everybody's numbers, right? Because when you play D'Antoni teams, you're going to get your points, but they're going to score theirs too, right?
Okay. Agreed.
A system that can make Jeremy Lin have an entire make people believe he's good is crazy. But wait, hold on. Let me finish.
You on the same page as me.
Wait. Oh, don't worry. That was the appetizer, ladies and gentlemen. Let me bring in the entree. Let the chef get the hibachi and get the cooking and throwing shrimp in your mouth in front of your old lady. Let's not have that happen. Fellas, tell me if this resume, tell me where you would rank this player all-timer, if this player is a Hall of Famer, Hall of Very Gooder. 4 All-Star games, 1 All-NBA first team, 4 All-NBA teams, 7 All-NBA defensive first teams, 6-time steal leader, Rookie of the Year. What would that player be? What would you...
That player would be Hall of Fame. I wouldn't necessarily say first ballot, but they Hall of Fame for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so that player would be a Hall of Fame, but not first ballot.
Yeah.
You just told me that the difference between CP3 and Steve Nash is a Hall of Famer. That is the difference between
Steve Nash
those
is
two.
also a Hall of Famer.
Right.
Hold on. This is what I'm saying. You're talking about who would you rather pick? I just gave you the difference. That much that Chris Paul has above Steve Nash is a Hall of Famer.
If you read off Steve Nash same accolades, we would say Hall of Famer.
You couldn't do that. The only thing Steve Nash has over him is literally 2 MVPs. That's it. That's
a
all.
big deal. That's a big
That's
deal.
That's it.
He got multiple All-Stars.
Here's my thing. Steve Nash, much like Linsanity, was a bright star that burned out very quickly. Hold on. I will get in, and by burned out very quickly, I'm not actually saying Steve Nash burned out quickly in terms of like Linsanity for like 3 games. No. Steve Nash had a whole great career. I'm not saying Steve Nash was trash. What I'm saying is, in comparison, his prime or his window of being a really good player is exponentially shorter than Chris Paul's. And on top of all the things that we talk about here, we look at the offense that we say is inflated because of all of the things with D'Antoni, and yet somehow Chris Paul still has more points, and yet somehow Chris Paul still has more assists, and the steals he nearly triples. By the time it's all said and done, he's going to triple what Steve Nash did defensively.
But that don't make him better. Chris Paul has had a better longevity than everybody that we've named on this list so far. That doesn't make him better.
He has not had better longevity than Stockton. Nobody's beat out Stockton's longevity.
That's the only one. He got way more longevity than Magic. He's been in the game longer at a higher level than Steph, and way longer than Isaiah.
Okay, let me just say it like this. Again, we said starting a franchise and you know what they're going to turn into.
Yes.
I'm sorry to tell you this, my brothers in Christ. I am not giving up a decade of Chris Paul being at worst the third best player the third best point guard in the league.
Okay.
For a 5-year span, or not even 5, a 3-year span where Steve Nash was the best point guard in the league. I'm not doing it.
Your point of running a franchise is to do what?
It's to win the championship.
So if you're building a team around those two players, which point guard do you think gives you a bigger chance to win at least one championship in that window?
Chris Paul.
I'm going Steve Nash.
Well, hold on. I'm sorry. One championship?
At least one championship.
But the goal is not just to win one championship. It's to win championships. And if I'm looking at who gives me the best chance long term to win the greatest amount of championships, I'm going Chris Paul.
I don't think Chris giving you one.
There is no way that you can tell me let me not disrespect this man. Steve Nash, offensively, magnificent. He put on a masterclass. He could run anybody's offense the exact way it need to be ran. He can find you where you need to be found. But you know the other part of that? He can easily be found on defense. You can easily say, hey, there goes the white guy on the court. Go get him.
True.
Go get him. Hey, I don't care who got the ball. Go to him. Hey, get our point guard the ball.
That's why you build around with some fast players that can play weak side.
I mean, if we're gonna go that route, you could say the same thing about a lot of guards in the league. I mean, you could say the same.
But we're not talking about a lot of guards. We're talking about Chris Paul and Steve Nash.
I'm just saying.
Who would you rather start a franchise?
The guard position is not known as a high defended position most times, in most cases.
That's fair, and that's fine. But that's another reason why Chris Paul is a freak of nature. And here's the thing. People oftentimes see championships and who won and who didn't and make that the whole argument. Like I was looking at this podcast the other day that said, and it hurt my heart to see this. A black man, and I'm going to tell y'all the story of why a black man saying this matters. A black man said out of his mouth with a straight face, what has Warren Moon ever won? And in my mind, I thought to myself, do you not know why Warren Moon wasn't in the NFL? It wasn't because he wasn't a good quarterback. That wasn't the reason. And some people would argue, well, Doug Williams was the only quarterback taken in the first round that year. So that's obviously not true that the NFL was averse to black quarterbacks at that time. That man had to go to Canada and win 5 championships before he was taken seriously in the NFL. 5!
Yep.
5 times. His team, whatever team he was on, hey, they're the best because they got him before he was taken seriously. I'm sorry to tell y'all this. You can't use who won as the who affects winning is what matters, not just who won. And you're going to tell me that Chris Paul affects winning less than Steve Nash. Knock it off.
Let me just say, I was so happy when you brought up your first point, right? I was so happy when you. That was like, y'all remember watching Yu-Gi-Oh? Hey, I flipped my trap card over. I flipped my trap card over. You fell right into my trap, right? Right into my trap, right? Can we rewind? rewind time.
Let's rewind it. Let's rewind it.
What year would you say Chris Paul was like starting to decline? What year?
That's a tough one. I'd probably say about 20. I'll probably say like 2018, 2017. I'll say that's when he.
Perfect. Perfect.
That's when he started.
You was on the same page of my book.
That's when he started
the same page of my book. Like, okay, kids. Now let me reveal the rest of my trap. So this is a continuous trap. That was the first trap. You fell into trap number
Talk
two.
to me.
Trap
Talk
number
to
two,
me.
right?
Talk to me. Talk to me. Come on. Come on with it.
At what team in 2016, 2017 did Chris Paul play for?
He played for the Rockets, correct?
Coach Gibbs.
It was D'Antoni. Hold on.
Mike D'Antoni.
Hold on. Did I not say that despite all of the inflation of his stats, Chris Paul is still outpacing him? So what does that tell you? Even with the same coach, and mind you, if we're talking about how long he was with D'Antoni, are you comparing the amount of time that he was with D'Antoni to the amount of time Steve Nash was with him?
No.
Come on now.
What I'm saying is, Guyton is on the same page with me. What I'm saying is, what Nash was able to do with D'Antoni's offense, Chris Paul would have never sniffed.
That was the best version of Steve Nash we ever saw with Mike D'Antoni.
But you just said
You said start to decline. You didn't say, "Hey man, is this the best version of him that we'll ever see?" Because
if he was Steve Nash,
we know that a player's prime and the best version of him we'll ever see, they're close, but they're not the exact same thing. We can all admit that, right? That the prime and like the best version, sometimes it's a little different.
Yeah.
The best version of Chris Paul we ever saw was the 2009 season, statistically at least. The best version of him we ever saw, offensively, defensively, all the things. That was the best version of him we ever saw. But that doesn't mean that when he started to decline, he was with D'Antoni, so it doesn't count. That was still the best version of Chris Paul. We got every version of Nash, every single one.
But what I'm saying is, look at the Suns team, right? Who did they lose to? Who the Suns team lose to?
They lost the Lakers. They lost the Lakers and the Spurs. Generally, I don't believe they lost any team besides the Lakers and Spurs.
Two great teams. Now the Rockets had three chances, right? Before Kevin Durant, even when Kevin Durant was there. On paper, they was the team that matched up the best with the Warriors. The best.
And they were gonna win. They were up before Chris Paul got hurt.
Exactly my point. What did Chris Paul do? He sold you again in a game 7.
He was hurt. Nobody says that Isaiah.
He's always hurt, Gibbs. He's always hurt.
Again. We're not just talking about but this is why I don't like when people talk about Chris Paul for real, because the narratives run out of control and we lose the objective ability to recognize what he was or was not.
Okay, but
nobody looks at hold on. Nobody looks at Isaiah Thomas and says Isaiah Thomas got hurt in the finals against the Lakers in Game 6. Even though he put on the masterclass after getting hurt, he was terrible in Game 7. He sold that series. That's not fair to him because he was hurt. You don't just say, "Oh well," And then after that, after the year or two after that, he tore his Achilles and was never the same player again. Like this is not. It's
I
not
know another
fair.
white man when he wasn't hurt that put him out again too in Game 7.
Listen. All I'm saying is this: it's not when you look at.
Wait a second. Chris Paul had Monty Williams. Did he not?
And you're gonna hold on.
In that case, he didn't have a squad. He didn't have a good enough squad around him at any point with the Hornets.
But he had
not
Monty
even
Williams.
a good team. Not even a
He
good
did
team.
have a good. I'm not saying he had a good team, but you acting like Monty Williams' offense doesn't highlight a point guard as well.
Dog, Monty Williams is not known as the master of the 8-second offense. He's not known as that.
He's not.
There's one guy that has that title, and it's the guy that Steve Nash spent the entirety of his best years with. The entirety of every good year he had was spent with one guy in one system. Come on, man. Listen.
So here's the only point I want to make. D'Antoni's Suns teams or D'Antoni's Rockets teams? Who wins in a 7-game series?
I would probably say those Rockets teams.
No way.
I would probably say those
No
Rockets teams.
way.
Oh, hold on. If Chris Paul and Harden are healthy, people forget how good Dwight was in year one when he got to those Rockets. People forget what a monster he was.
Dwight wasn't there when Chris Paul was there. I don't think Dwight wasn't there.
No.
No, he wasn't there.
What?
Dwight wasn't there.
Dwight wasn't
He
there?
wasn't there.
No, they said it was
he wasn't there.
Capella.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Capella was good too, but he wasn't Dwight. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I'm sorry. My bad. Got the years mixed
Yeah,
up. But either way you look at it, I still don't think that those teams beat the Rockets. I still don't think they beat the Rockets. I don't think that they do.
I don't
The
know.
X factor is James Harden because James Harden is the best player in that series. He's
I'm just
far
saying,
above all of them in that series.
Putting Rajah Bell and Sean Marion on Harden, that boy gonna have a hard time.
Yeah, he had a hard time with Lou Dort. So I'll be honest.
Again. And you know what's crazy? Steve Nash had a hard time with anybody that was coming down the court at him. He had a hard time with whoever. Didn't matter.
That's
Fine.
cool.
Didn't matter.
That's fine.
That's cool.
That's
Didn't
fine. He ain't have to play D. He had Raza Bell and Sean Marion. He had to play and Amari.
They'd have built
He had to play no
franchises
defense.
around point guards who won't play defense.
But none of those point guards who have played no defense. How often do you see those point guards who play no defense win championships? at a high level?
This topic.
As much as people
juicy.
talk about Steph Curry and what he is or is not defensively, if you're actually watching the games, you know he's a
I
much
think
better
Steph is
defender
great
than Paul
defensively, but the
That's
narrative
what I'm
is that he
saying.
don't play
That's what-
defense, so you can
but
add him
that's-
to that list.
But he's not though. He's not that. We actually watch the games. We know Steph is not a guy who does not play defense.
Right.
We also watched Steve Nash. We knew when you got the ball and Steve Nash was checking you, there is 2 points to be found. Right there. Right there. My
Listen,
brother
listen,
is right.
Listen. I got a crazy scenario too, but I don't think this give him the nod over him because of his career. He was in Portland. But if you put Dame on the Lakers, like right when AD and Bron first assembled, right when all the rumors was that he might leave Portland, I think he ends his career better than Chris Paul because he wins the ship in 2020 for sure, right? I think they repeat in 2021. I think they're the favorite going into 2022. If you put Dame on the Lakers early enough, not now, obviously, his career almost over now, but 4 years ago, 3 years ago, you put Dame on the Lakers, I think he got a case to be better than Chris Paul.
This is exactly why. I say when I look at these players, it's not about what you won or what you did not win. It's about who you as an individual are. To me,
I agree.
And
But
when I look
if
at these
Dame
players-
played with somebody Bron and AD level in his career, Dame flies under the radar because he playing Portland. Like if Dame played for a big city,
If Dame played with somebody Blake Griffin level, he'd get it done.
bro, Dame will get a ring.
Dame has never
Dame
played
will
with a
get
player as good as Blake Griffin, bro. Or a Harden. Or a
Prime-
Devin Booker.
I'll give you Harden. Devin Booker debatable, but
Name a
I'll
player-
give you
name a
Devin
player
Booker.
better than-
I'll give you Devin Booker.
Blake Griffin.
I said I'll give you Blake Griffin. I said I'll give you Blake
Oh,
Griffin.
okay,
I'll give you
okay,
both of them.
okay.
I'll
I
give you
was
both of
about
them.
to
I'll give you both of them. But I'm sorry, you said Blake Griffin level?
Dame has never played with a player as good as Blake Griffin.
No. Name Dame teammate that was better than Blake Griffin. I'm waiting.
We talked about Blake Griffin and said that his work with the Pistons was what showed us how good he really was. Y'all must have forgot. And
I'm
y'all
not.
talk about
I'm not.
And y'all talk about
Bro,
hold
you
on.
say
Hold on.
I'm getting off.
I'm not talking about no CJ McCollum.
He gonna say LaMarcus Aldridge. He gonna say LaMarcus Aldridge.
What LaMarcus Aldridge did against the Rockets was literally legendary. Was literally something that we had not seen
wasn't Blake,
before. He was dropping 40 a game. Blake has never dropped 40 a game in any series ever. Ever. What are you saying? What are you, bro?
He was not the man with the ball in his hands.
What do you?
Chris Paul's feeding
wait
the
a
ball.
minute.
He didn't
So
get the
wait a
same
minute.
ISO
Just
situations
because-
as though he wasn't playing with Chris Paul.
So just because he got the ball on the block and he had to make something shake instead of being the guy at the top of the key with the ball, he's a lesser player than Blake Griffin. Is that what you're
I
saying?
never said that.
Also, that was Dame
LaMarcus
first couple
Aldridge was a
years in the
hooper.
league. That was Dame first couple years in the league, and they still put the Rockets out.
And that's because LaMarcus Aldridge went crazy. He went
But
legend
Dame
in
was
the way
a
that Blake
baby.
Griffin.
Dame was drinking Similac. Like what? He was a baby.
He went legend in a way that Blake Griffin ain't capable of. He went legend in a way that we've never seen out of Blake Griffin ever.
If you
I think
Dame
consistently,
on Lob
man.
City, you put Dame on Lob City, I think they get it done. I think they get it done.
Y'all just be dog.
I'm talking prime Dame.
Dog.
Prime Dame.
Even prime Dame.
Prime Dame, bro.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Because I'm not going to change y'all mind about Steve Nash, despite the fact that y'all agreed that the difference between Steve Nash and Chris Paul is a Hall of Famer. Despite that, we're
the
never
basketball
gonna
Hall of Fame is easy to get into. That's easy to get into. I mean,
Okay, that's fine, and that's fine. That's all right. Are y'all telling me that y'all would take Dame over CP3?
No. I'm saying this is the argument. This is my argument. I'm saying, Gibbs. I'm not saying that at all. No, I would definitely take Chris Paul to start a career over than Dame. Definitely.
I was finna get to boot.
What I'm saying is this is the reason why I think Chris Paul is not what we really think. Like eye test tells us yes, Chris Paul. The stats tell us yes, Chris Paul. But Chris Paul actually situation based. He actually was in positions to be successful. And what I'm saying is it's a couple players in the league right now that if they were in positions to be successful like Chris Paul was, they would have got it done, and Chris Paul didn't get it done, is what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
And all I'm saying is, it's not even, again, to me, it's very clear. It's not even close that Chris Paul, how long he was good was so much longer than when Steve Nash had his little moment of like being really good, number one. Or not even little moment. He had a good stretch of being good. Chris Paul's was longer. If I'm building a franchise, I want the longevity. I want the consistent longevity of you're going to be really good and we can build around you and trust you to put up however many for years on end, as opposed to the guy that we can't trust to do that. As opposed to the guy that's like, he's going to have 2 or 3 years. We don't know when they're going to come, but they're going to come. And then after those 2 or 3 years, it's kind of tough. It's a tough situation you're looking at. I'm sorry. I'm going there. And again. Let me ask y'all this, okay? What does Steve Nash do, or what did he do? If you look at their overall career from start to finish, what does Chris Paul? What does Steve
Brown?
Hey, knock it off. What does Steve Nash do at a higher level than Chris Paul? If you watch the game and say, hey, he does this at a higher level from start to finish in his career, what is it? Because I can name multiple things immediately that I can say, oh yeah, Chris Paul does this better, he does this better, he does this better. It'd be a push if you gave him this. So what would it be?
You bring up a very valid point. He checks off more boxes, but
way more.
Certain players,
more boxes.
I don't. Watching the games, you feel like certain players give you a better chance to win games. That's all it is.
Again. I don't understand how we.
Steve Nash decision making. Steve Nash decision making down the stretch. That's what I would say he does better than Chris Paul. Down the stretch, Steve Nash decision making.
Okay, and so what else? What else does he do better?
That's a big factor.
It's a big
if I'm
deal.
starting my franchise.
I'll give Steve Nash 3-point shooting. I'll give him that. I'll give him he's a better 3-point shooter. That's it. That's the only thing that I think he has a definitive edge over Chris Paul in. That's it. Everything else is either a push or it goes to Chris by a mile. The things that Steve Nash does well, Chris Paul does them, but better. The things that Steve Nash doesn't do well, Chris Paul probably does them very well. Very well. That's the reality that I'm looking at. That's the reality that I'm talking about here. Again, the better scorer, statistically, Chris Paul. The better assist guy, statistically speaking, Chris Paul. Oh, the better rebounder, by a mile, Chris Paul. The better defender, again, by a mile now, by 7 All-NBA first defensive teams, by 6 all-time steal leaders, Chris Paul. I'm sorry, 6 year steal leaders, Chris Paul. And you're telling me that, oh yeah, late game decision making outweighs all that. You know what's better than late game decision making? Being able to do things so well in the early parts of the game that late game, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What are we talking about here?
Gibbs. It's an
It's
argument
like saying
for sure.
it's like saying Robert Horry has a better clutch gene than Bron. Sure, we could argue Robert Horry knocks down more clutch shots than Bron, but guess what? The difference between
two
the
completely
two.
different things, though. It is not.
not even in the
it is not a
same
LeBron
breath.
Robert Horry gap to say it's a
here's
Chris
what I'm trying
Paul
to tell you.
Steve Nash.
But here's
gap.
what I'm trying to tell you. Here's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Again, y'all said it, not me. The difference between these two is a Hall of Famer. The difference between these two on Chris Paul's end is
But
a
they
Hall of
both
Famer.
are Hall of
Or,
Famers.
watch this. Which one of these do you think is most impressive? 4 All-Star games, 1 All-NBA first team, 4 All-NBA teams, 7 All-NBA first defensive team, 6 steal leaders of Rookie of the Year. Which one is most impressive? Which one? Y'all tell me.
Chris Paul's resume is more impressive, but it's not.
No. I'm saying which one of those accomplishments on their own is the most impressive? Which one is the most impressive?
all defensive.
Okay, so 4 All-Star games, 1 All-NBA first team, 4 All-NBA teams, 6 steal leaders, and Rookie of the Year. Is that still enough? I think that's still enough to make the Hall of Fame.
I don't think that's enough without the 7.
I think it is. I think even without the 7 defensive teams, you still got...
In the Basketball Hall of Fame, I would say yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying
again, you still got 4 All-NBA offensive teams and 6 steal leaders a year. So even if you just so happen to come along at the same time as Hakeem Olajuwon and David Robinson and all those guys where it's big man after big man after big man, and then you think you're going to get a break because Jordan won one, and then, Tim Duncan's here, more big man. Even if you came up in that time and said he never won defensive player or never made an All-NBA first defensive team because it was Mo Cheeks in them, and he was a guy that you ain't getting first team defense over him. Even if that was the case, you still have a Hall. Now watch this. Let's do it with Steve Nash because y'all said his resume against Chris Paul. Let's take away.
I never said his resume was better.
You got 2 MVPs.
Well, he did
That's
have 2
it.
MVPs.
That's
He has
it.
MVPs.
That's all. If you take
Nobody with 2
big
MVPs
it.
not
That's a
going into the
big
Hall
it.
of Fame.
That's
But
a
this
big
is what I'm
it,
saying.
bro.
But
That's
this is what
a
I'm
big
saying.
it.
If you take away that one thing, again, I just asked y'all to take away Chris
Okay.
Paul's most impressive accomplishment over Steve Nash, not his actual impressive accomplishment for himself, just what he has over Steve Nash. You took it away and said that's still a Hall of Famer. If you take away Steve Nash's most important accomplishment over CP3, that's not a Hall of Fame resume anymore because he's behind him and everything else.
How many All-Stars did he make?
He made, I want to say it was, what?
We got
11
Google,
or
fellas.
so?
We got
Okay,
Google.
so let's say it's 11 All-Stars. Let's just say it's 11 All-Stars. If you get
Right.
that 11 All-Stars and add 2, maybe 3 All-NBA first teams, that's not Hall of Fame?
But again, I wasn't comparing Chris Paul's I'm comparing what he has over Nash. If we compare the actual,
I'm about to read Nash's career. Right, 2-time MVP, 8 NBA All-Stars, 3 All-NBA first time, 2 All-NBA second team, 2 All-NBA third team, 5 times assist leader, 4 times 50-40-90 club, Phoenix Suns Ring of Honor, NBA 75th anniversary. Well, these are all college stats now. Okay, so yeah, 4-time 50-40-90 club. Chris Paul could never.
Again, I'm not arguing whether or not both of their resumes are not Hall of Fame. Both of these guys have Hall of Fame resumes. What I'm saying is what the difference between the two, the chasm, because I don't think that this is close. I mean, when people say it's Steve Nash, I don't know what world you're living in because again, you have a guy that's really, really good. Really, I'll say this. Do you think that Steve Nash offensively is a tier above Chris Paul? I think that they're in the same tier, but I'll
say the same tier.
Yeah. So if you have them the same tier offensively, and then defensively, one is light years better, how is this a conversation? I'm confused. Y'all are puzzling me. This is mind-boggling.
Now that I think about it, though, with Chris Paul, he had what? 4 all NBA first teams?
Yeah, 4 All-NBA. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me look this up. He had 4 All-NBA first teams. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's it, right? He ain't had no second teams or no third teams, right?
Oh, no. He had 11 all-time selections altogether. He had 11 of them things. Okay. 11 of them. Don't try to play that game with my
No.
Don't do
now
that.
I look at it, bro. Now I look at it though. Chris Paul and Steve Nash resumes are really, really close, bro. Like they close.
Bro, I just read you the difference. But
But you picked. But what you did is you picked categories to give me the difference. You're not adding the extra stuff Steve Nash have when you look at differences. 2 MVPs and 4-time 50-40-90 club. How many people in the 50-40-90 club in NBA history? How many people?
It's not many. It's not many.
It's not many. He did it 4 times.
Again, even if I'll even give you because of the 50-40-90s, I'll say that Steve Nash is one tier above him offensively. I'll say he's one tier above him. I'll give him a whole tier clear. Again, the difference in that one tier is more than cleared by defensively. Is more than cleared by what they did on the boards. Is more
I
than
agree
clear.
with you. I
More
agree
than
with you.
clear. Not even.
I
like,
agree
what
with
are
you.
we?
I agree with you. I mean, Chris Paul's more athletic. He's gonna play better defense. But looking at this resume, gives it's close, bro. It's close. 2 MVPs, 4-time 50-40-90 club, 5-time assist leader. That's close, bro. That's close.
I want y'all arrested. I want both of you
That's
arrested.
close, bro.
I want you all
It's an
tried
argument,
for your
Giz.
crimes.
Whether you want to believe it or not, it's an argument. It's an argument.
Here's the thing. Again, y'all know me. I'm very big on, at the end of the day, if you can only do one thing or if you only play one side of the court, it's going to be hard for me to give you that love and put you up there. It's going to be real hard.
We
for
know
me to
that
do
about
that.
you. We know that about you.
And so, with that being said, to me, again, turnstile versus 7-time All NBA first team. I don't know how. Again, if Nash was averaging, and again, I would at least hear this out if Nash was averaging like crazy over what Chris Paul was doing. Like if he was like averaging 30 a game, or if he was even averaging 25, that's a whole 7 points a game more than Chris Paul. I get it. I got it. I'm gonna leave it alone. He averaged less points than Chris. He averaged less.
I mean, but
Chris had better longevity.
Efficient, though. Efficient 50-40-90 though. Like you know, 4 years of 50-40-90, you knew for a fact if he shoot the ball, it's probably gonna go in. If you 4-time 50-40-90 club, bro.
And
That's
that's
tough,
fair. You know what? I'm gonna leave it alone because y'all finna have me pop a blood vessel in here. Y'all finna have me pop a blood vessel.
I did not
in
think
here.
this is gonna take
But
the whole show when I text y'all this today, bro.
But no. We still got to get to the NFL. We still got to get to the NFL playoffs. We got a little bit of time left. But with that being said, let's look at the NFL playoff picture, and hopefully we got the same glasses on when it comes to this. In the NFC, we got the Eagles with the 1 seed at 12-1, Vikings the 2 seed at 10-3, 49ers at the 3 seed with 9-4, Bucks, somebody got to win that, NFC South 4 seed at 6-7, Cowboys at the 5th seed with 10-3, Commanders at the 6th seed with 7-5-1, and the Giants are tied with them, or technically the Commanders have the tiebreaker, so the Giants are also 7-5-1.
Yep.
That's the last team in, and then you're looking at the Seahawks at 7-6, and the Lions at 6-7, and then on the AFC side, you've got the Bills at 10-3, you've got the Chiefs, Bills number 1 at 10-3, Chiefs number 2 at 10-3, Ravens number 3 at 9-4. Titans number 4 at 7-6. Again, somebody has to win that AFC South. You have the Bengals at number 5, 9-4. Dolphins 8-5. Pats 7-6, and then the teams on the bubble: Chargers and Jets, both 7-6. Fellas, tell me on the NFC side, who is in, who's out, who makes it, and who
I'll
doesn't?
keep this quick. I'll keep this simple. Giants moving up to number 6. The Commanders are out. Lions moving in at number 7.
Really?
Yep.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
All right. I feel you're not. I'm gonna tell you this.
Although
said all
I
year-
want to see Geno make the playoffs.
I've said all year that I think that Amon-Ra St. Brown is a top 5 receiver in the game, and he just doesn't get his credit because he's in Detroit. Because if he was doing this in LA, if he was doing this in, they acted like Cooper Kupp is the best thing since Randy Moss when he won that Triple Crown. And I'm like, okay, sure. But anywho, I do agree that the Lions have surprised, and we all want to see Geno win. They wrote him off, but he ain't right back. He ain't right back though. He ain't right back. Chris, who's in on this NFC side?
It's tough, man. I think Geno get in there though. I think Geno get in there, and I think the Giants both win too. Y'all know I've been riding with the Giants. Like I told y'all, they was gonna be crazy good this year for whatever reason, and they're not world beaters, but they're a solid I said they're gonna be a solid football team. They have that 1 year. Now next year they probably gonna win 3-14 next year. But for whatever reason, the Giants always have that random year where they just a good football team. Don't make no sense.
I'm gonna tell you this. I think that the Seahawks have a tough stretch in front of them. They got the 49ers. They got the 49ers tonight, actually, playing the 49ers in about 20 minutes here. Then they got the Chiefs after that. And then they got the Jets after that. And then they ended with the Rams. That's a tough task. That's a tough ask of a team. And it's for that reason that I think that they're out. But with that being said, the Giants might have it just as tough, if not tougher, than they do. The Giants had a Commander Sunday, the Vikings next Saturday, Christmas Eve. They got the Colts after that, which I think should be – Colts are in tank mode. Go ahead, get you one. But then the Eagles to end the season. Now, let me tell you why the Eagles to end the season is important. The Eagles to end the season, they could already have clinched up the one and be like, all right, we're going to rest our guys. We're going to play them for a half, and then we're going to rest our guys because we gained nothing by winning this game. If that's the case, the Giants might just sneak their way in. They just might tiptoe through the back door on into the playoffs. Even though these last few weeks, I mean, they have struggled mightily. I mean, if you look at their last couple games, blew out by the Eagles, tied with the Commanders, lost to the Cowboys, lost to the Lions, barely scraped by against the Texans, lost to the Seahawks. Like, that's a real tough out there. So, I mean, I think the Giants back in only because everybody else has a real tough stretch going down the finish line. And the Lions, I said that they had 7 wins in them. But honestly, Josh, you might not have been crazy because they got the Jets, Panthers, Bears, and Packers down the stretch. It's real possible.
That looks like 4 W's to me.
It's real
gotta
possible.
Win all 4 though. They got to win all 4 though.
They got to win. And I think it's possible to win all 4, especially after we just beat Minnesota.
Again, it's possible. It's real possible for them.
They got the momentum. I ain't rocking the Lions. I'm happy on Detroit.
I'll tell you this. They got me because I thought the 7 wins was this team's absolute ceiling, and boy was I wrong. On the AFC side, let's run that back one more time. Bills 10-3, Chiefs 10-3, Ravens 9-4, Titans 7-6, Bengals 9-4, Dolphins 8-5, Pats, Chargers, and Jets all 7-6 in that order. Fellas, who's in and who's out?
This stays exactly the same.
Really?
Yeah, I don't.
Go ahead.
Now, I don't see any changes happening in this. The Jets, I can see getting in, but I don't think they get it done.
Well, okay, all right, I can see it. Chris, what you got? What you got in this AFC
team
side?
that really make a good push is the Chargers, bro. The Dolphins, they morale is down. I think they make it, but I think the Chargers be the biggest difference in that. But everything else, like I said. Also, depending on Lamar's health too, I think the Ravens gonna drop a little bit, but it depends.
I believe that the Patriots have one of the toughest schedules coming out for the rest of the year. Oh, nope, I was wrong. Oh, yeah, they do. Other than the Raiders, they got a bunch of tough games at them. They got the Bengals, Dolphins, and Bills. All of them are fighting for something. All of them competing, battling for something. The Chargers, on the other hand, I don't know. I think the Chargers got a little bit easier of a stretch coming down the end of the season here. They got the Titans, the Colts, the Rams, and the Broncos. Ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and play the Big Mouth theme song because this AFC picture is going through changes. I got the Chargers sneaking on into the playoffs. I think that the Pats, I mean, listen, when you got Matt Patricia on your staff, you in a bad way, okay? He's made that offense completely inept. Mac Jones in year 2 looks clueless out there. He looks like he's struggling to get it together. I think that and I'm gonna tell you this. Not only do the Chargers have the easiest schedule, that head coach is coaching for his life. Like Bill Belichick knows, even if they don't make the playoffs, what are you gonna do? Fire Bill Belichick? No. If the Chargers don't make it this year, Staley finna be on Indeed looking around like, I heard they got some pretty good jobs at FedEx. They might, you know what I mean? They package handler don't sound bad at this time of the year for real. So, I think the Chargers sneak in. Anywho, we know y'all tired of us screaming about Steve Nash and about who gonna get into the playoffs and about whether or not There's a Hall of Fame resume, a difference between players. But come on back next week and the week after that and the week after that. Peace and love, y'all.